Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. Armagh 123, Tyrone 18 points. A comfortable, humbling win in the end for Armagh. A very, very big scoreline. Very, very big result in the end. 8 points is how it finished. And in the end, the scoreline like that probably actually flattered Tyrone a little bit because Armagh had this game pretty much wrapped up early on, pretty much wrapped up from half-time. Yeah, it was an annihilation, a hammering, a humbling, a very, very comfortable win for the All-Ireland champions. The homecoming and everything else, obviously first time playing in the Athletic Grounds in a competitive game since Armagh won the league. So first time the fans and everything else would have been able to see the players, in their own backyard since that All-Ireland win. And it was a brilliant, brilliant performance by Armagh. Like from the first whistle right until the last, they contested every ball. They won the majority of the balls, in terms of kickouts. They were dominating. They surrounded Tyrone. Anytime Tyrone did have the ball, there was 3-4 men surrounding some of the Tyrone players. Like it almost looked like at times that Armagh had twice the amount of players out there than Tyrone because Armagh, they were just so physical, so strong, very athletic, quick. And Tyrone were just very, very flat, really. Kicked a couple of nice points towards the end of the game, couple of 2-pointers to probably bring the score down a little bit and make it a little bit more respectable. But it was very, very comfortable from Armagh. And, Tyrone was just 1 point inside the opening half an hour. Armagh ripping through Tyrone time and time again. Ross McQuillan, I thought, was very impressive in and around that half-forward line. Oisín Connaughty again, I suppose when we're speaking about new players who've come on the Armagh panel in the last couple of years, Oisín Connaughty's obviously been such a huge addition to this Armagh team. Andrew Merlin obviously gets the goal as well. And it was just an absolute whitewash. Tyrone just couldn't get going at all. And there was obviously a huge breeze that favoured Armagh in the first half. But even at that, like with Tyrone, they just kept trying to run the ball through the middle. And when you're coming up against, for me, what is probably the best defence in the country, in my opinion. And I know, they don't have all their best players necessarily back in the team just yet, but like you're not gonna be able to run through that that brick wall Armagh defense. And Tyrone just needed to take a few more risks. Like I know there is a heavy breeze, but mix it up a bit. Loop a few balls on top of Ethan Rafferty. Just go for the points or try and do something a little bit different. They were just very, very predictable. And when they did get chances off, when they did get shots off, a lot of the time they were going wide. And Armagh were just absolutely dominant, from start to finish. Greg McCabe was absolutely brilliant as well. The amount of ball he won from kickouts was outstanding. And it benefited Armagh. And I suppose with these new rules, like with the kickouts and everything else, like Tyrone just couldn't get a breather. They just couldn't get a moment. They couldn't get a chance to settle down. And they just couldn't really get their players into the game. Like Darren McCurry finishes with 6 points. Kieran McGeary and Shawnee O'Donnell both get on the score sheet as well. But nothing from Matty Donnelly. Ronan Cassidy, we didn't get anything from him. Owen McElholm came off the bench and kicked a point, but was relatively quiet. And it just wasn't the same kind of type of performance from Tyrone that I think a lot of people were expecting. I think a lot of people were expecting Tyrone to push on, maybe win this game, given that Tyrone looked pretty good the last time out against Derry. Like they were very, very brilliant in that match and really caused a huge amount of damage to that Derry team. But that just wasn't the case in this match at all. Like they were so flat, like passes going astray, and it was like, especially the likes of Aidan Forker and Barry McCambridge, like you're not gonna break through a sturdy defense like that. Going into the second half, you're thinking, right, Tyrone will have the breeze now. Will that make much of a difference? Armagh were, I think, 10 or 11 points up at half time. So you're thinking this game is very much dead and buried. But obviously with the new rules, if Tyrone can kick 3 or 4, maybe 2-pointers, then all of a sudden they're back in it. And that probably is the thing with these new rules, that you always feel like, teams aren't completely out of it. And obviously with the kickouts as well, it's not like Armagh can, kick it short and then just keep the ball for extended amounts of time and take the sting out of the game. But that didn't happen at all. Tyrone, again, when they were shooting, they a lot of the time it was going wide. They couldn't get the ball into their forwards. They just couldn't. Armagh's energy levels were still right on it. And even with the breeze, which I think died down a little bit in the second half from what I heard on commentary and RTE, but like they were still just cutting through them, like a warm knife through butter. And it was just very, very comfortable, I think, for Armagh from start to finish. And even looking at some of their scores, like Andrew Murnan with 1-4, Rory Grugan with a point, Ross McQuillan with 3, and Ethan Rafferty, who you have to mention, was absolutely outstanding as well with 5 points. I said it previously, like in the preview show, and I might have even said it in other podcasts as well. Like these new rules suit, like especially with Ethan Rafferty, like Blaine Hughes probably isn't that type of goalkeeper. He isn't really that sweeper keeper kind of style, where he's going to be the +1 and join the attack. Whereas Ethan Rafferty definitely is, and he benefited hugely from it, kicking 5 points. Outstanding performance from him, and I think maybe there is a case that he could nail down that that goalkeeper position. Now obviously was missing last year through injury, so huge to obviously have him back in the side. But even the likes of Darren McMullen, who is a new player on the team, I believe he was very, very good, very lively, very, very fast runner, very good kind of ball carrier. And look, Tyrone, they kicked a couple of points towards the end of the match to make it a little bit more respectable. Michael McKernan got a few, to kind of get themselves back into it. And to be fair to Michael McKernan, 4 points again, from centre back. It's not bad. It's not a bad performance from him, in my opinion. Shea O'Hare was lively as well, 2 points from him. And look, Tyrone do have players to come back. So, they have the Canavans to come back. Peter Hart will come back in. There'll be other players, I'm sure, who will come back into this strong team. So I don't think it's panic stations or, you're pressing the emergency button or anything like that. Absolutely not. You're going to get these games in the league, these things are going to happen for Tyrone. They're going to have ups and downs, and they're going to have these moments throughout the league. But I suppose the concerning point would be is last year under Brian Dooher, and even at times before, obviously when Fergal Logan and Brian Dooher were both there, obviously because Fergal Logan wasn't there last year, with his health issues and everything else, and we all wish him the best. Hopefully he's doing okay now. But Tyrone they were just very, very, like they would have some really good games, but then they would have some games where they go out and just get absolutely hammered. We saw that last year in the league when they played Dublin, a couple of years ago playing Kerry in the quarterfinals. Very, very inconsistent. They could never really build any consistency under the last management, after they won that All-Ireland. Like that was the big thing for Tyrone. They could never put 3 or 4 very good performances and wins together against top teams. So that will be something for Tyrone to definitely work on, I think, going into the next couple of games. But they were just outclassed today, and Armagh physically in terms of sharpness. They certainly didn't look like a team that have had problems or issues in the camp, as people have said. Definitely none of that on the pitch today. Like they were absolutely brilliant, and fair play to them. A few comments here. Gaelic guy says big win performance by the lads. Very impressed by Rafferty. He was brilliant, wasn't he? And then that is the thing sometimes with goalkeepers venturing forward. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't work. There are some goalkeepers who can play that role. And Ethan Rafferty, obviously, with his club, I think plays in midfield, and you can see that he's certainly got the ability to do that, to venture forward and be that extra man. Aidan says, I thought Tyrone was going to win the game, turning on the game at halftime to see 114 to 3 points. Yeah, I predicted Tyrone to win the game as well. I just thought with Armagh, there was a little bit of flatness in their performance last week against Galway. Tyrone looked absolutely up for a new manager. You would think as well with Armagh winning the All-Ireland that it would rev the Tyrone lads up and they'd want to do them in their own backyard. But it was actually the other way around. It was Armagh who actually, and I knew with the home crowd and the atmosphere around the place that Armagh were going to be strong. I think I predicted a 1-point win for Tyrone, so I certainly didn't think it would be a comfortable win. But it was, it was for Armagh, wasn't it? So there we go. The Irish Rover says, hope all is good. not a great half by the Dubs. Hope we can come back. Yeah, we will discuss that game at full time. Probably going the way I'd expect it so far, but look, we'll see what happens in the second half. Dubs fan says this was Tyrone v Armagh. No mouthing off, very few frees, and generally no acting the BLX there. The rules are working. Yeah, look, and probably it is worth mentioning, obviously, with it being the league, and you have Ulster Championship to come. Armagh and Tyrone may meet each other at some stage, and that we'll see. Obviously with the group stages, it's likely Armagh and Tyrone cross paths again at some point this year, I think. Maybe even more than once, who knows? So there probably was, maybe Tyrone not wanting to kind of give away too much. Maybe certain elements to that with Armagh as well. But you see how good their attack is, though, and you have Conor Turbo who comes back in as well, scores 4 points. He was absolutely brilliant. I think you will have Rian O'Neill coming back in at some stage as well. I don't buy into him not coming back. I think he definitely will come back, in my opinion. But yeah, fair play to Armagh. Very comfortable 8-point win for Tyrone. A setback. But look, it's second game in the league. I don't think it's panic stations. There definitely will be elements of that performance, or a lot of elements of that performance that they won't be happy with. They do have players, obviously, to come back in. And look, there's going to be better days ahead for them, I'm sure. But it will just be that consistency that I think Tyrone have been missing over the last couple of years that maybe they need to get back. Whether that comes in the league, we'll obviously have to wait and see, or whether that comes in Ulster and maybe in the All-Ireland series, we'll see as well. And Aidan also says as well, Tyrone are missing Hart and the Canavans. So yeah, look, a few players missing there from a Tyrone perspective as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. I suppose Tyrone are missing Pádraig Hampsey as well. If he comes back in at some stage, we'll wait and see. Kieran Daly obviously coming off the bench. Con Kilpatrick coming off the bench as well. So yeah, there's probably a few players there that Tyrone are missing, in fairness. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions on the game. Hit the like button and subscribe if you could. We'll be back after Donegal versus Dublin. So until then, see you all soon.